This is part 3, or the third video in part 1 of components. Components come in many ways. There are literally hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of electrical components and electronic components in the market. But you must have a way to classify components. You must find a way to classify components. Now there are levels of classifications. There's called absolute, and then there's called relative or virtual. Let me give you an example. We have a word in engineering called load. Now here is an example of a load. This is a little picture of a lamp. This may be a picture that you might have seen before of a resistor. Get this correct. Oops. Now both of these would be considered as loads because they are components that take energy from a power source. Okay. An example of an electrical power source might be, let's say, a 9-volt battery. You can find these in the market. Now both of these could be connected to the 9-volt battery source, and these components would be a load on the battery. There will be a load on the battery. What that means is that it takes energy away from it. It's like a source of weight. It's like a heavy load on the battery, a weight. The battery is trying to hold up something to keep it going. But this load is definitely different than this load over here. This load is a load on the battery, but we do not see anything, we do not hear anything. And if the current through the load is relatively small, we don't feel anything. Let me repeat. We don't really see anything, we really do not hear anything, and we do not feel anything. So although both of these are considered loads, they definitely have two different purposes. This load is for maybe controlling current in the circuit. But this load, we normally don't use a lamp to control current in a circuit. This is usually what we call our final load. This is what we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to create one of these three items. We're trying to see something, we're trying to hear something, and we're trying to feel something. So right now, the loads I want to focus on are final loads. So you can buy all kinds of final loads of a system, and you need to learn how to operate those nodes. And in order to operate those loads, you need information. And that information is normally given on data sheets. This is where the information is kept. And what information do you need? Well, to begin with, you need the amount of energy that it needs to work. And we call that voltage. And you also need, if that energy is given to the component, then how fast do the current pass through the component? How much current does this component utilizes or use when you give it that energy? And you probably also need to know the form of that energy. Is that energy DC, which means the energy is constant? Or does that energy change, which means the energy may look like this? But you need to get that information from the data sheet. Now, once you have that information from the data sheet, then you can start the process of designing your circuit to operate this load. And what do you need? Well, you need a source of energy. That's something very good you need. You need a way to transfer that energy from the source to the load, and you probably need some way to control when that energy is going to be operated, and in some cases you may need to control the level of that energy. I call these the four major things that you need when you're designing a circuit for a load. And you have to get this. You really need to understand this. This is so important in electronic circuits. Again, I want you to come to electronics with the knowledge and the power to do this kind of work. I will continue this in the next video.